In the studio now, we have some gorgeous watches, and Rob Shay from Betteridge Jewelers is joining us. How you doing today?
Good, Tracy. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, nice to see you too. So watches are always kind of a classic jewelry piece for both men and women. And Betteridge Jewelers, you guys have all the classics and just really nice jewelry.
We have a lot of the finer brands for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And IWC is one of those brands that really is steeped in the history of watchmaking. I mean, it's in some ways a lost art form that is still carried on today. It's hard to describe, but I think most people don't realize that only 3% of the world's watches, or maybe even a little less, come from Switzerland.
Okay, and is that where kind of the watchmaking started?
Yeah, I mean, in that region, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the countries were a little different back then, but certainly, I mean, some of the watchmaking history all stemmed from that area, and those were the people that had the skill set to actually work on making their own tools to make the watches.
To make the watches. Probably
Correct.
really little tiny tools and lots of good dexterity with the hands.
Exactly.
So are you saying robots aren't making these?
No, not
People
much.
are.
People are
Okay.
definitely. I mean, that's the whole idea behind what we're doing at Betteridge, is the better quality, hands-on, hand-finished, handmade pieces. Watches like these probably take somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 9 months to produce.
One watch.
One watch.
Wow.
In terms of man hours. Yeah, it's really
that's
amazing.
a lot. Now, I would think that you've got somebody that knows the leather and the band, somebody that knows the ticking inside, somebody
Correct.
that knows the calendar and all those little tiny pieces.
Well, a lot of this stuff was figured out long before they had computers. So it's really the internal mechanism of the watch that really is what makes this special. Along with being the smaller portion of the number of pieces made worldwide in Switzerland, these watches have the ability to really keep superior time compared to all mechanically. So there's not a power source other than the winding of the watch.
The winding, you're not plugging this in.
You're not plugging this in, there's no battery operations.
Okay, there's no battery, so
No.
it's just the winding. All
That's
right.
correct.
So
That's correct.
why don't you tell us exactly about these specific ones that you brought in
Well, I
today?
brought 4 pieces that are really iconic to the brand. We have 2 watches from the Portuguese collection, and then we have another 2 watches from the Pilots collection. And if you go back in their history, these watches were really started, in a watch like this particular piece here has been made since the mid-30s. So there's a lot of history in what they do in terms of the styles of the watches. Prior to the mid-30s, everything was really done in still pocket watch form. So their cases were larger and what have you. But the Pilot's watch, this particular piece, was really used for a very functional purpose. They didn't trust necessarily the instrumentation, and of course they didn't have the instrumentation in these planes that they do today.
Really
so they
cool.
used the watch for a timing mechanism. They really knew how much fuel they had in the plane and how long they could stay in the air based on
By looking at their watch.
Exactly.
Very cool history on that
absolutely.
one. That one looks more like it's really, really useful, not so much glitz and glamour.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah. This is called the Big Pilot. It has a 7-day power reserve, so you can wind this watch and run for 7 days. The case on this particular piece is ceramic, so real unusual in terms of the traditional materials that companies would use, which is steel and gold. And in this particular case, it's titanium. So they use an array of metals depending on the piece. And all of their watches really have served a purpose in the past of something really outside of watchmaking in some cases.
Yeah,
as well.
I know. Piloting in a plane.
Exactly.
Who would have thought about that? Well, great.
Exactly.
This is nice to hear the history of watchmaking. It's such an intricate design that people have to do, and it's people that are doing it here. Is this collection always at Betteridge?
Always.
Always,
Yeah.
okay.
Since probably the mid-90s.
How big is your watch collection there?
Well, we have a fairly extensive watch collection.
Yeah.
We probably have, I would say, 600 or 700 watches in the store.
Okay. Right there, ready to buy.
Ready to buy.
Ready,
exactly.
you can take it right then.
Yeah, and these pieces are ordered, mostly a year to a year and a half in advance of actually receiving the pieces.
Yeah, because they have to make it. All
That's
right, well,
right.
Rob, thank you so much for coming in today. Rob Shay is with Betteridge Jewelers. You can find them in Solaris, which is located in Vail. So when your legs get tired today, go check out how to keep time in a stylish way. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
We are going
Appreciate
to take a look at that weather forecast. Is there more snow?